Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So as promised, the weekly Q&A segment where I'm going to go through all of my social media content and have a look at you guys' questions. This one is actually from Instagram, from the Instagram handle Alita Fitness. So first off, thank you so much for your question. I've kind of paraphrased this a little bit just to make it more concise, but she's basically asking the same thing. Her question is, if you don't want to take a full week diet break, what are the pros and cons if I take just a 2-day diet break? Is this protective of my resting metabolic rate, and will I still achieve the same amount of fat loss? Great question. So first off, I could just answer this without giving you any kind of explanation, and essentially all it is whatever you have chosen as your weekly rate of weight loss, so over a 7-day period, if you take 2 days at maintenance where your weight isn't actually going to increase, it's at maintenance, you're just adding an extra couple of days. So in that 9-day period, you're now going to lose that same amount of weight, but you've just extended the time. I think I wanted to give you guys a more of a practical example to kind of explain how this actually looks on paper, and also how to calculate your maintenance calories. I've given you the example here of an individual that is currently eating around 1,536 calories. I just plucked that up. I think it was a number out of my phone from back when I was dieting. So a really relevant example for something that I would consume when in a deficit. So my average weekly weight loss when I was consuming these calories at that particular point in time was about 0.55 of a kilo or half a kilo. One thing I do want to point out is that when we're looking at what your weight loss has been, we're not looking at your weight at the beginning of the week and then what it is at the end of the week, like highest to lowest. That's not how we calculate it. That is just taking 2 data points and saying, oh yeah, I've lost this much. What we want to do, and what's far more accurate, is actually to look at your weekly average weight change. So we're going to compare all of those data points and then compare it to the previous week. So you'd have your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday through to Sunday weigh-ins. You're going to take the average of those 7 days, and then you're going to compare it to the previous week's 7 days weekly average. So that's where I'm getting this number from. So I was losing about 0.55 of a kilogram per week. You as an individual might be losing a completely different amount each week. You might be on a slightly less aggressive weekly rate of weight loss, or you might be on something more aggressive. Maybe you're targeting like 1 to 1.2% every week, and that would equate maybe to a bigger number. So anyway, you can do this equation using whatever you are currently targeting each week. How do we actually work out what your maintenance calories are? It's pretty simple. So to start off with, a little bit of math here.
Let's start the day off with some math. Does anyone understand math? Who would like to lead the class with some math?
So we've got our half a kilo per week, and we're going to multiply that by 5.9 calories. So you might be wondering where we come up with this number. It's actually described, and there's a clear definition in a couple of our books. So in the Complete Contest Prep Guide and also Fat Loss Forever. So this is basically the caloric value that's required for 1 gram of weight change. That's defined a little bit more clearly for you if you want to learn more in our books. So if we multiply that half a kilo by 5.9, what it works out to be over the total amount of calories in order to lose this amount of weight works out to be 3,245 kilocalories, 3,245 calories. So that's the total amount of energy that would be required to lose half a kilo. If your goal is to lose this over a 7-day period, then we just take that number and we divide it by 7 days of the week. So we do that. This is where this number comes from here. So 463 calories is the amount of calorie deficit you need to create in order for this to happen over 7 days. So obviously, depending on how many days you're wanting to lose a certain amount of weight, you can add any number in here. So if you had an idea of a total amount of weight you wanted to lose in a month, well then you would just make this number 30 days. And you could do the exact same thing. So it's pretty simple. What does that actually mean? How do we come to our maintenance calories? Well, like I said, this number is what we need to be in an average daily deficit to achieve that. So we take our current calorie intake, which was 1536, and we just add this number. Your current maintenance calories, or at this particular point in time for me, since it's my example, my maintenance calories were sitting at about 2000 or 1999. How does having a 2-day period at maintenance impact your progress to work towards this goal? Well, all it does is just adding 2 more days for you to actually get to that point. So instead of being in a 463 calorie deficit every day, if you then are eating 7 days on these targets, and then you had your 2 maintenance calorie days on these targets, basically just means that your daily deficit is just a little bit less at 360 per day. Hopefully that helps you to understand a little bit better about how to calculate what your maintenance calories are, and also what it does to your weight change over that period of time. So the second part of your question was, what are the pros and cons of taking just a 2-day diet break? Great question. At the moment, there are only a handful of studies that actually look at these diet breaks. The Matador study, which I mentioned briefly in last week's Q&A, was a 7-day period at rest. We also have a couple of studies that look at 2-day diet breaks, as well as 3-day diet breaks. Now, the study that was carried out here at USF, the University of South Florida, they actually found that just taking a 2-day diet break didn't lead to meaningful changes in resting metabolic rate. But we do have a study with 3 days that was shown to have meaningful improvements to your resting metabolic rate over the course of the diet period when compared to a continuous diet. My suggestion would be that if you're going to take a diet break and eat a little bit more, to have the positive effects on your resting metabolic rate and to help you preserve more of your lean body mass, I would say probably at minimum, take 3 days to do this. So therefore you just use this equation and take that up to 10 perhaps instead of 9, so that you can see what your actual daily deficit's going to be. And that's probably going to be somewhat protective, but is it better than taking a full 7 days? Probably not, but it's probably going to be better than having no diet break and doing your deficit the entire way through to get to your goal. So guys, thank you so much for all of the questions. I have an awesome folder full of so many of these, so I really appreciate it. I hope this was helpful, and I guess we will see you next week at our Q&A segment.